Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, your voice is not audible.
Excuse me, ma'am. Ma'am, your voice is not audible for us. Ma'am,
Hello.
Yes,
Um,
ma'am.
Yes,
now,
ma'am.
Yes,
Yeah,
now
now
ma'am.
audible, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
okay, okay,
Yes.
okay. Okay, here what's happening here, we are using a n different number of states. So when we are trying to have a n different states, each and every state will be having a interdependency on each other. Say here there are 5 different states which are unlabeled because we don't know what is the system and how the system is going to behave. So here what we have written, you can see the arrow marks, right? So it is a complex system where each and every system are interdependent. So when we are trying to have this interdependency of a system, so large number of problems we need to face. So how do we solve the problem? So the solution can be brought for these kind of problem by using the expanding the states. So in expansion of a state, what we are trying to utilize, say for example, we have a high level diagram. Okay, so when we are having a high level diagrams or high level system, we are trying to break down the high level system into the smaller subsystems, or we are trying to divide into a macro program or substitution program where each individual subdiagrams or submodule are going to execute and it is going to come back to the original state. So that is what we call it as a expansion of a state. So when there are large number of states, we can use a concept of expanding a state. So here we have a diagram. So in this diagram we have taken a vending machine. So initially the vending machine will be in a idle state. That means there will be no work for a vending machine. In that case, what happens when a person is trying to insert a coin into the machine? So what happens? Amount will be taken as a cumulative balance, and after entering the coin into the system, so the person can select a item. So can around 20 years back, you might have seen, you might have heard, right? If you are putting a coin into the booth, you used to get a milk, right? Have you heard anyone? Yes, speak out. When you're trying to when you have dropped a coin, so what happens, whatever the number of quantity that you have suggested, so those quantity of milk would come and fall into the vessel. So similarly here we have an example. So when a person is trying to insert a coin, so what happens, it will check for the amount, and after checking the amount, if the balance is inefficient or insufficient, so what happens, the machine will wait for that person to select another choice. So what happens, once the person selects the choice, so the machine dispenses the item and returns the remaining change. So here in this diagram you can see the diagram of a state modeling for a vending machine. So initially the system will be in a idle state. So once the system is in a idle state, so what happens, the user will insert a coin in terms of a amount. So and he is going to set a balance. So after inserting a coin, so that money will be collected and it will go to the collecting money state. So in this collecting money state, you can see the event. So what type of event it will execute? It will identify how much of amount that a person has inserted. So what is the balance? So after identifying this, then after collecting the amount from the user, then it will display the menu by saying that select the item. So what the user will do, so next activity is, so the user will test the item and it will and the system will compute the change. So once the change is being computed, so what happens, if there are no any changes to be provided to the user, then what happens, it will go to the dispense item and again the system will move to the idle state. So in case if the change is not equal to 0, if change is greater than 0, then what happens, it will the system will ask to make a change. So once the change is being collected, again it will dispense the item. So or else say if no items are available, so it has to check for the condition. The user has inserted a coin. So once a coin is being inserted, so if the item is not there, then what it has to happen, it has to collect, the user has to collect back the change. So that is what happens with the, it will check whether the item is empty. So if item is empty, it will go for a collecting money. Then again what happens, it will check for the condition whether the change is less than 0. If change is less than 0, again what happens, it will compute, and this process keeps on repeating. So that is how we are trying to represent a vending machine state diagram, or when we are having the interdependency of a state diagram. So here you can see there is a dispense item. So this dispense item, we call it as a substate, so or a submission which has to carry out its work. So once the coin is being inserted by the user, so what happens, that item has to be dispensed. So for dispensing the item, you have a list of item. So how do we represent that with a UML notation? So we are trying to create a local state name with a colon and the what is the submission state name. So this is how we are trying to represent a subsystem. So when we are trying to represent a subsystem, this subsystem will be taken care, will be considered as a subroutine. So in the next diagram, you can see the nested state. How that I said the dispense item is a submodule or a state machine. So when you say a substate machine, so when it moves to the dispense item, it will come back to this subsystem or a submission of a vending machine. So here what happens, it will be in an initial state. So from the initial state, what happens, it will move the arm to correct the row. That means it will ask you to place the item, or it will ask you to place your arm on a particular row. So when the arm is being placed, so what happens, it will adjust the column. So once the column is once you are moving the row and once you are moving your arm adjusting to the row and a column, so what happens, it will ask you to push the item. So the item will be dispensed from the dispense machine. So once the item is being dispensed from the dispense machine, so what happens, again it will move to the end state. So this end state, we call it as a bull's eye. So why do we call it as a bull's eye? Because we have a solid circle surrounded with a hollow circle, which looks like a bull's eye. So that is the reason we are calling this final state as a bull's eye. So in the next diagram, we have taken a telephone line. So in yesterday's class, we have taken with the normal telephone line system and the activities that we are going to identify. So based on a activity that how the telephone line is going to work. So now we are representing the same telephone line with respect to the nested states. So you may think that there is no change in the diagram. So here you can clearly observe. Can you see the diagram, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So here what happens, initially the system will be in a idle state. So when you take a off hook, so what happens, you can hear a dial tone. So once the dial tone is heard, so the user will start dialing the number. It may have with a invalid number. If it is an invalid number, it will play the recorded message, or if it is a timeout, it will play the warning message, and it will give a long beep and it will terminate. Or else if the line is connecting, it has to identify whether the trunk is busy or whether the number is busy. Or else if this condition is not satisfied, then what happens, the call will be routed. So once the call is routed, so what happens, the phone starts ringing, and the other side, the person is going to answer the call. So once the conversation gets over, the phone will be disconnected. So this you can see here, this entire thing is being put up in a rounded rectangle. So this state, we call it as a active state. That means it is a process that is going to happen each and every time. So the user will be keep on trying until the phone gets connected. So once all this gets over, so what happens next, the user is trying to disconnect the line. Again, what happens, the phone will go to the idle state. So this is how the nested state is going to work. So in a previous class, we have discussed on our entry and exit activities. So where each and every state is going to enter into the state, and the object is going to take a particular state. So once the object takes a particular state, it will execute the rest of the activities, and it will come back, and we are trying to check whether the state is in a active state or a passive state, depending upon a transitioning. So once the transitioning is being carried out, so if you are having a nested state, so this nested state can cause the execution of several entry or a exit activities. That means what, when we are trying to use a nested states, the same state can be put up in a loop. The same state can be executed several times. So so this type of activity we are trying to use within a nested subroutine calls, which will identify the behavior of the similar system. Okay, so next, to identify the entry and exit state, so we have one more example of a car transmission. So in a car transmission state diagram, what we have a different state. So neutral, reverse, first, second, and third. Can you say what are this? Neutral, reverse, first, second, and third? Anyone? Can you tell me what is this? Neutral, reverse, first, second.
Gear, ma'am.
Yeah, it's a gear, right? So what happens initially, your car will be in a neutral state. So from the neutral state, if you want to take your car in a reverse direction, so if you want to take your car reverse, then you're trying to push R. So what happens, the car will be in a reverse state. So after going to the reverse state, again what you will do, you will push N. So again it will come back to the neutral. So once you have taken your car to the neutral, setting to the right position, so what happens here, you have a nested states. So here we have a one state called as a forward state. So you can see here, in a forward state there are three different gears: first gear, second, and a third. So what happens initially, after the neutral, the car can be stopped. So from the stop, it can move to the first gear. So you can upshift and you can change to the second gear. Again you can shift the gear, upshift, and you can change to the third gear. So once it reaches a third gear, again you can come back to the second and a first gear. So how can you do that? So by using a downshift. So once all the gears has been executed, again it will come back to the initial stage, which is a first gear, right? So once everything is being completed, again if you are trying to park your car, what you will do, you will bring your car to the neutral and you are trying to stop. So this is how the car transmission is going to work. So the next, we have a signal generalization. So what is the signal generalization? So whatever we have seen a signal class, right? So we are using the signal class by using by using the signal has a keyword, and we have a list, and by using a signal class we have written a how the signals are going to work. So in this example, what we are trying to do, we are identifying the hierarchy of inheritance of a signal attribute. So whatever the attributes are there, we are trying to organize in a particular hierarchy. So what example we have taken here, we have taken a, say assume we have a keyboard, we have a mouse, and the user is trying to is trying to give an input to the system. When the user is trying to give the input to the system, he might use a keyboard character, or he might use a mouse button. So when you say a mouse button, it can be up or a down. So you can point, you can take the mouse button and you can point to the particular character. So this entire keyboard characters can be divided into two different characters. So one is a control and one is a graphic character. So in our next example, you can see here we have a signal class and we need to organize the signal class. So what is the first class or the parent class that we are using? We are taking the class name as a user input. So for this user input, what attribute we are taking? We are taking a device. So the device can be either a mouse or a keyboard. So that is how we are trying to classify the mouse button and a keyboard character, which is of the type both signal type, because whenever you are trying to press a key, so what happens, a signal will be generated and that particular character will be converted into the ASCII value and that character will appear on the screen. So how that will work? So based on a location. So when you are trying to use a mouse button, you are trying to place the cursor on a particular position and you are trying to modify the signals. And when it comes for a keyboard, so you are taking an attribute as a character. Okay, again this mouse button class can be derived into two different classes. So one is a mouse button down and mouse button up. So both of them, up and down, will do perform a different actions. So that's the reason for mouse button we are trying to inherit with the two options, up and down button. And coming back to the keyboard character, so we have a signal generalization of this. So again the keyboard character is being characterized into two things. So one is a control and one is a graphic. So when it comes for a graphic, so either you can use a space or you can use a alphanumeric or you can use a punctuation. So by using all this thing, we can organize the entire user input by using these devices in a typical manner. So after organizing the class into a signal generalization, so next thing is we need to bring the concurrency in a system. So how can you bring the concurrency within a system? What do you mean by concurrency? What is concurrency? What is concurrency?
Multiple user try to access same data, ma'am. That time concurrency will occur.
Yes, when a user is trying to identify multiple tasks carrying out a same time, right? So that we call it as a concurrency. Or when we say an object, so the object can activate, or object can execute its action depending upon a state. So there can be two or more multiple simultaneous states that can be taken care by the object. In that case, what we need to have, we need to identify that objects are independent of each other. So if there are any dependency among the object, then what happens, we cannot achieve the concurrency. So how do we achieve the concurrency? There are various methods of achieving the concurrency. So the first one is the aggregation concurrency. So what do you mean by aggregation? What's an aggregation? We are trying to combine all the different parts to identify as a one particular object, right? So here what we are identifying when we are trying to use a aggregation of all the objects or aggregation of a different parts to represent a one particular state. In that case, what we need to represent, we are trying to represent that as a AND relationship. So when we are using this aggregation, so from one, there can be a movement from one state to the another state diagram. So how can we move from one state to another state diagram? So the car example we have taken, right? So car is an aggregation. Can you see the diagram? Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
So we have a car. Okay, car is a one particular object, right? So the car is nothing but an aggregation of different elements or different parts. So the car consists of a ignition, the car consists of a transmission, accelerator, brake. So when we have identified these different parts, each and every part has to have their own identity and it has to carry out its own task. So if, for example, if we are considering a ignition, so initially the ignition will be in a off state. So what happens, how can you turn on the car? So you need to turn the key, from the off state you need to bring the car to the on state. So what happens, it will comes to the neutral state and it will start. And what you need to do, when a car is starting, you need to release the key. So what happens, the ignition will reach to the on state. So how can you make it to the off state? Again, when you turn off the car, so what happens, the ignition or the engine will go to the off state. So next thing is a transmission. So what is this transmission? Transmission is nothing but a changes of a states or changes within a objects that we are trying to observe. So here, this example I have explained, right, in a previous slide. So the car will be in a initial state. So you are bringing the car to the neutral state. So from the neutral state, you are bringing to either you can bring to the reverse state. So from reverse, you can come back to the neutral state. So once you come back to the neutral state, so to move the car forward, so what you are doing, you are pushing, you are using the command as a push F. So what is this push F? It is nothing but a state. What is that state? It is a forward state. So in this forward state, what we are trying to use, we are using a different gears, first, second and third. That means you can change the gears accordingly to speed up the car. Again, what you can do, you can bring back the entire state to the neutral state when you are switching, when you are turning off the car. Okay, so this is how we can make a multiple states. And next thing is aggregation. So when you take a aggregation as a one part of the car, so the in a accelerator, so what we have, the accelerator will be in an initial state, that is in a off state. So when you depress the accelerator, so what happens, it will speed up the car. So once the car is in a on state, the car tries, so you are trying to move the car by increasing the speed. So once you release the accelerator, so what happens, it will come back to the off state. So that is how we are determining the state for aggregation. So next, coming back to the brake. So for brake, how we can represent a state diagram? So we have, initially the brake will be in a off state. So from a on state, when you press on a brake, so what happens, the brake will be applied. So when you release the brake, so what happens, the brake will come back to the off state. So this is how we can represent the aggregation of a concurrency. That means what, to move a particular car, you need to have all this aggregation of all these parts. So each and every object or each and every part has to do its own task to move that object or to represent that object. So if any one of these if any one of these parts are not working in a proper way, then what we can identify, we can identify that there is no concurrency among the object. So that is how we can represent the aggregation concurrency. So next we have a aggregation within an object. So when you say a state, within that state itself we can represent an object. So that those objects can be represented with the sub-diagrams. So all the sub-diagrams need not be independent. So some diagrams may be a dependent. So depending upon a type of a system or depending on what way that we need to represent a state, we can identify whether those sub-diagrams are dependent or independent. So when we are trying to use a concurrency within an object, so what we need to do, we have a UML representation for representing the concurrency. So how we are going to represent the concurrency? By using a dotted lines. The dotted lines represent the concurrency. So here is a example. So the bridge game between a concurrent state. Okay, so it is nothing but a playing with a rubber. So the rubber has a two different states. So the rubber can be a vulnerable or not vulnerable. So here what we have, we are taking a direction. So we can have the we can expand this rubber either to the north south direction or to the east west direction. So where this task, both the task north south and east west will be executed parallelly. So this is what we call it as a concurrency. So how do we separate the concurrency? You can see, observe here, there is a dotted line. So this dotted line will tells us about how we can achieve the concurrency. So first, initially the rubber will be in a not vulnerable state. When you are trying to start performing an action, so what happens, it will come to the vulnerable state. And what is the condition? We are using a north south game, and the north south direction is going to win. Either the north or south is going to win. So in a next concurrency, so what happens, we have a not vulnerable. So when we say a not vulnerable, here we have a east and west direction where the game is going to be played. So from the not vulnerable, it will move to the vulnerable state, and either a east or a west rubber is going to win. So this is how we are trying to represent the concurrency of object, concurrency within a object. So next thing is, we need to bring the synchronization among the concurrent activities. So we have observed two different objects. All the two different objects are going to be organized in a particular manner, and they are going to execute their states. So when we are trying to use this concurrent execution, so what we need to do, we can take the different activities. So what is the progress within the next state? So how can we do that? So here is an example of a cash dispensing machine. So you have seen a ATM. So how the ATM machine is going to work? You are trying to you will insert a card. So once the card is being inserted, it will ask for the credential. So once you provide the credential, it will display the menu. Okay, so after displaying the menu, if you are giving for a cash withdrawal, so what happens, the machine will identify within its state whether that sufficient requested cash is there or not. So if it is there, it is going to dispense the cash, and the cash and the card is going to come out of the ATM machine simultaneously. So that is what we call it as a concurrent activities. Or else what happens, the cash will come out. So once the cash comes out, immediately the card will come out of the machine. So that is another case that we can represent. So when we are representing the concurrent state diagram, so how do we represent this? So we need to partition. So as I have shown you in a previous rubber example, so where we are using a dotted lines. So by using those dotted lines, we are trying to indicate how the system can be represented. So when we are trying to represent each and every concurrent activity, so what are the other composite activity can be executed? So how the entire system is going to change, that we need to observe. So here is an example of a cash dispenser example. So here what happens, so first, initially the cash dispenser system will be in a setting up state. So from the setting up state, so what happens, the system will move to the ready state. So you can observe here the solid bar. What is the solid bar? What is the solid bar? I have explained, right? What is that solid bar? Anyone? So this bar, we call it as a synchronization bar, where the entire process is going to fork. So fork is nothing but a splitting up of a single process into two or more multiple states or processes. So here what happens, the entire system will be ready, and that system will split up into two different actions. So what is that? So you have a state called as a emitting, you can see here. So within this emitting state, within this emitting nested state, you have two activities. So the first thing is do dispense cash. So if the sufficient cash is available in a cash dispenser, so what happens, the cash will be dispensed from the machine, and it will reach the final state, and again the system will move to the reset state. So how it will go to the reset state. So you have a card which is being ejected into the system. So once the cache dispenses, immediately the card will be ejected from a system or a machine, and it will reach the final state. So when both the process is being completed, so what happens, we are trying to the system will go for an automatic reset of the system. So that is how we are trying to represent the synchronization control, where we are trying to split the control into two different parts. Okay, so the same thing, what explanation I gave, right? So the solid bar, which we have seen in a previous diagram, so this diagram we call it as a synchronization bar, which indicates a splitting up of the control into two different activities. So that activity split up will be taken care with the arrowhead. So whatever the arrowhead that we have taken, there will be no label, and it will reach that next state, and that particular sub diagram will be considered. So that is how we can achieve the concurrency within a system. So next, so why do we need this concurrency within a system? Say for example, you cannot repeat the process for we cannot repeat the process for two or more systems. So what happens when you are trying to write the system, when you are trying to represent with the without concurrency, the system may be a complex system. So what happens, you need to check each and every time, and you need to identify how the objects are going to behave with a different situation. So that is the reason what we are trying to use, we are trying to use a concurrent control. So in this concurrent control, we are using the input arrows and we are using a output arrows, where this we are trying to conduct with a small, where we are trying to execute with a single small heavy bar, which is shown in the diagram. Okay, so next thing is a sample state model. We need to represent the sample state model. So what example that we have taken in a sample state model? We have taken an example of a furnace and a air conditioner. So depending upon a time, so what happens, the attributes within a system are going to behave in a different manner. So how it is going to change, that changes will be controlled by the owner. So how the owner is going to pad the buttons. So that is what the example that we have taken. So when we say a temperature, when we are saying a furnace, so what happens, we are trying to set a particular temperature. So once the particular temperature is been set, so what happens, once the current temperature is being set to the targeted temperature, so what happens, the system begins to work. So once the system begins to work, so it will take a particular period of time to execute its task, and it will convert to the object and it will come back. So that is how the device is being controlled by the owner. So for that, what we are using a different variables for a furnace or a air condition or a air cooler. So what we are using, so we can use a temperature up, we can reduce the temperature down, we can forward the time, we can backward the time, we can set a clock. So based on a clock, we can set what activity has to be executed. So we can set the day, so in that particular day it is going to execute. Then we are using a run program, so which will run on the program mode, depending upon what temperature, what clock that you have set, depending upon that the system is going to run. Next, view program. So what is this view program? It will identify the examination of the program. So what is the progress within a system. So what are the modification that can be carried out? Next is a hold temperature. So in a hold temperature, what we are trying to use, so we are trying to execute the concurrent target temperature. So here we are converting the temperature into Fahrenheit or Celsius button. So depending upon that, we are trying to convert either to the Fahrenheit or a Celsius. So other than that, what we are representing a different switch. So what are these different switch? So we have a night light. So if you want to display, you might have seen in a airports, right? In a airlines. Okay, so when you're trying to travel, when you want to read, so you can use that small light which will go to the reading mode. Or you might have seen in some trains that facility will be available. So that night light facility will display the values, either the light is in on state or in a off state. So next is the season. So what is the season? So the season where we are going to identify or where we need to control the thermostat depending upon a values. So what type of values we can have? Either heat, cool, or none. Okay, so if it is too heat, what you are doing, you are trying to make your a cooler on. If it is too cool, so what you are doing, you are trying to use a room heaters. So or else if it is a normal temperature, you are neither using heat nor using a cool, that is off. So that is how we are trying to represent a air cooler. Then what we have, we have a fan. So what does this fan will do? The fan will operate depending upon a on and off, or automatic on and off depending upon a operating by the owner of the system. So here we have a programmable thermostat diagram. So we have a user interface as a one particular nested state, and we have a season switch has a one particular state, and fan switch has a one particular state. So when it comes for a season switch, so the season may be a hot, heat, or a cool. So in between this we can transit from heat and cool, right? If it is too heat, we are going to switch off the season switch and we are trying to switch on to the cool weather. So if it is very cool outside, if the room is very cool, so what you will do, you will switch off from cool mode to the off state. So from off state you are trying to use as a room heater. And one more is fan switch. Assume that you are not using any ACs. In that case, you might use a fan. So you can use a fan switch either in a auto mode, or you can use it as a on and off. So how you can do? So fan can be auto. So auto mode where fan switches automatically on and off. So if the fan is in a on state, so depending upon a temperature, it will move to the off state. If it is in a off state, then it will move to the on state. So that is how the fan switch is going to work. So here what we have a different, when we have taken a furnace, we have a different methods. So when you see this furnace relay, so how this furnace is going to be turn on or a turn off. So if the temperature is less than the target and the season switch is in a heat, then what you will do, you will switch on, the furnace will move from off state to the on state, and you are trying to run the furnace. So or else what happens, if already your furnace is in a on state, then if the temperature is greater than the targeted temperature and if the season switch is in a cool state, then what you are doing, you are moving the furnace from on state to the off state. So that is how we can represent a furnace relay. So next what we have a air conditioner relay. So when you say a air conditioner, you can turn on and turn off the AC. So when you can turn on the AC, so if the season switch is cool and if it is greater than the targeted temperature, then you are going with the AC switch. AC, or you are trying to run the AC, or else what you are moving the AC to the off state. Next, run indicator. So when you say a run indicator, so you need to know whether the system is in a running mode or not, whether the system is working or not. So how do you observe? So you will check when the furnace in on or AC is in on state. So everything will be moved from off state to the on state. And how do you identify that the system is in a on state? You can see in any device there will be a indicator. So it will display the light indicator. So the light indicator indicates that the system is in a on state. So from a on state you can move back to the off state. So when you can move back to the off state, when the furnace is in a off state and when you are turning off the AC, in that case it will move to the off state. So next what we have a fan relay. So when you say a fan relay, we need to run the indicator. So how can you run the indicator? So we can run the fan switch from off state to the on state. So when you are turning on the fan, so what happens? It will run the indicator and it will move from on state to the off state. So this is how we are trying to represent the state diagram for a programmable thermostat. So another two concepts are there. I will explain in the next class. Any doubts in this? Whatever I have discussed?
Ma'am, can you explain the first slide because we didn't hear anything?
Which one, ma? First slide, huh?
Yes, ma'am. I think flat diagram.
So this one, right? This diagram. So when you say a nested state diagram, so when you say a nesting of a state diagram, there will be too many states, right? So how can you identify there are too many states and how to organize these states? So all the states will be in a impractical. That means when you are having n number of states, so there can be dependency of each state from one state to the another state. In that case, what happens? The state diagram will be organized in an unstructured manner. So how do you come up with this problem? So why do you identify this problem? Because there are n independent objects. So all these n independent objects has a two attributes to control a state. So either it can be 0 or 1. You can say it as a true or a false. So how can you represent these states? So all this n number of states can be represented as a 2 to the power of n. Say for example, if there are 3 objects, 2 to the power of 3 is how much? 8, right? So for 3 different independent objects, you can represent 8 different states. So all these 8 different states can be dependent on each other. So when all the states are dependent on each other, so what happens? It will cause a lot of problem, which says that the system is in an unstructured manner and we cannot observe what are the changes that are going to happen within an object. So this is what a flat state diagram. So here what they have taken, so those many, here there are 5 different states. So 2 to the power of 5, how much? What is 2 to the power of 5?
32.
32. So you can observe whether there are 32 independent links are there. So if there are those many links, so we are indicating that there are interdependency of the states. So that is how we are representing the flat state diagram. So to come up with problem, what we are using, we are trying to eliminate this kind of problem through the expansion of state diagram, which we are representing to the with respect to the substate diagram, which I have explained with respect to the vending machine. Any doubt?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So just stay online. I'm going to take attendance, okay? Don't leave the meeting. Asta?
Present, ma'am.
Abhinav?
Present, ma'am.
Aishwarya?
Present.
Amrish?
Yes, ma'am.
Yesterday also I was present. My
Ma'am,
keypad
yesterday also I was present. My keypad was not working.
What, ma?
Ma'am, yesterday I was present, ma'am.
Ma'am, yesterday I was present, ma'am.
My keypad was
okay,
not working,
okay,
ma'am, to
okay.
enter.
My keypad was not working, ma'am, to enter.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, I have put ma.
Okay, ma'am.
Ma'am, Amrish.
One second.
One second.
Amrish?
Yes, ma'am.
Anu? Arbaz Khan?
Present, ma'am.
Arjun?
Present, ma'am.
Ashok?
Present, ma'am.
Benita?
Present, ma'am.
Bhargavi?
Yes, ma'am.
Bhavisha?
Present, ma'am.
Chaitra?
Present, ma'am.
Devmalya?
Present, ma'am.
Diksha?
Present, ma'am.
Deepika?
Present, ma'am.
Murli Krishna?
Present, ma'am.
Present, ma'am.
Gangubai?
Present,
Ganguba? Guria Kumari?
Present, ma'am.
Harshit?
Present, ma'am.
Junja Singh?
Present, ma'am.
Kavya?
Present, ma'am.
Kavya?
Present, ma'am.
Kishore,
Present, ma'am.
Lata,
Yes, ma'am.
Manisha,
Present, ma'am.
Manjunath, Nayana,
Yes, ma'am.
Nayana,
Present, ma'am.
Neelanjan,
Present, ma'am.
Nishan, Pavitra,
ma'am.
Present, ma'am.
Present, ma'am.
Priyanka,
Present, ma'am.
Pavan,
Present, ma'am.
Akash,
Present, ma'am.
Rajeshwari, Rajeshwari,
Present.
Rajesh, Ramya,
Present, ma'am.
Rashmi, Ravish,
Present, ma'am. Ma'am, Rashmi present.
Rizwan,
Present, ma'am.
Rizwan,
Present,
Vishal,
Present, ma'am.
Savita,
Yes, ma'am.
Shruti,
Present, ma'am.
Sneha,
Yes, ma'am.
Spurti,
Present, ma'am.
Srinidhi,
Present, ma'am.
Srinivas,
Present, ma'am.
Sunil,
Present, ma'am.
are you saying proxy? Because 50 are there, I can see only 45 or 46.
Ma'am, Rashmi present, ma'am.
Vaishnavi,
Present, ma'am.
Vinny.
Present, ma'am.
Okay, I will send
Ma'am,
you the
Nayana
material
present.
later, okay? Is it fine? Both?
Ma'am, Nayana present, ma'am.
Okay, ma, okay.
Ma'am, Rashmi.
I have put ma. You can leave.